What's going on, guys? Today we have a video from the Dave Collins Show, and his video is called "It's Not Looking Good for Avengers Doomsday." Let's check it out.
Disney Marvel have to be feeling the pressure now when it comes to Avengers Doomsday, especially considering that Pedro Pascal's character of Reed Richards is going to be the rumoured new leader of the Avengers going forward because Fantastic Four First Steps has failed. It made only $9 million in its fourth weekend in the US, and as per Box Office Mojo, it's grossed only $472 million worldwide. Now, I guess it can reach $500 million or so, maybe a little over that at a push, but that's about it, really. This film was supposed to be the big turnaround movie for the MCU, and to set up the gargantuan Christmas tentpole of Avengers Doomsday coming next year. But because Fantastic Four First Steps wasn't successful, despite being a pretty decent movie, I would say, there's an added pressure now on Doomsday. They're trying to recapture the 2018-2019 energy and excitement of the Infinity War and Endgame two-parter. And
Okay, so I think we're now in the world of movies are harder to get $1 billion now. I think that's just the way it is with the economy, the way it is with the way the world is. I just don't think $1 billion movies are something that companies should always expect. It's obvious that Marvel, Disney, just in general, they put way too much money into their budgets for movies. And I think that it's just time for them to cut back on the budgets and focus on actually trying to make good movies instead of just throwing movie money at it because they know they're going to make their money back. We've seen that happen way too many times. And over the last few years, especially with Marvel, we have seen this drop off in quality to a sense that, like, even me, who I was a massive Marvel fan at the end of Endgame. Sure, there were a few misses through the Infinity Saga, right? But ultimately, like, I was hooked in. You had me. And then it was like they just kind of just started throwing random stuff at the wall, and of course they're trying to do Disney Plus at the same time. I do think this might just be me. Although some of the Disney Plus shows are actually pretty decent, I think that actually hurt the brand more than anything because they focused on trying to do these random shows with random characters, which are fine. Some of them, some are pretty rough, but some are okay. And I just feel like I'd rather have those shows cut down into movies. When I do my yearly / bi-yearly, whenever I kind of just get a hankering for the Marvel films, when I do my Marvel binge, I want to watch the movies. Movie. I don't throw the TV shows back into my binge. Like, that's just, maybe other people do that. I don't do that. And I watch the TV shows once and they're done. So especially if the TV show is bad or like lackluster, I'm not going to watch it again. And that whole story has now left the zeitgeist of what the Marvel franchise is. Even the bad movies I watch, but like even the decent TV shows, I'm not gonna rewatch. So that might just be me, but I think that's a big aspect to this entire situation right here. There's a level of Marvel who's going to have to actually start putting in the work to rebuild that fan base. I do think that this year, the 3 movies that came out were all pretty good. I know that a lot of people didn't like the new Captain America. I thought it was fine. I really liked the Thunderbolts. And I thought Fantastic Four wasn't as good as the Thunderbolts, but still fun. Like, it was entertaining. Could have been better. But I think overall it was a very soft prequel to the Avengers Doomsday. And it was a very just, it felt good. I think it was fine. But for the last few years, I could not say the same thing. There was the one year where we got, like, what, Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange Multiverse, and another one in that year. And I feel like they were, was it Black Panther 2? And all those movies were just very, like, either bad or just like meh, right? So it's one of those things where they had to fix their quality control. So it's time they get their ducks in order. They felt the impact, they felt the hurt. Now it's time to start rebuilding the universe. I think these first 3 movies, while they didn't do that great in the box office, I think they're a good start to kind of jump-starting the MCU, and that's what we need to do right now. It's kind of running on life support. It needs a nice jolt of some electric, right? So let's see if we can help it.
They really were water cooler movies, no doubt about it. Whether you liked them or not, you can't deny they were big cinematic pop culture moments, and everyone was talking about them at the time. I don't think that Doomsday or Secret Wars will have the same impact. I think that moment in the superhero golden era, I think that moment is gone. So, off the back of the outright box office flop of Fantastic Four First Steps, I think it's not looking good for Doomsday because that film really needed the MCU to be carrying some more goodwill and momentum before its release, and audiences have just checked out, it seems.
Yep.
It doesn't bode well for next year's Avengers movie, and all the cameos and returning players under the sun won't be enough to bring audiences back in the kind of numbers the studio wants. They're pinning all their hopes on Robert Downey Jr.'s return, and the issue is the multiverse stuff is a mess. And it destroys the idea of consequences in a story because there's no sense of jeopardy when a character can just be brought back from the dead, essentially, by introducing an alternate universe version of them. And character resurrections in science fiction have to be done very carefully, very well, and very rarely, or otherwise death loses its meaning if it can be undone too easily and too regularly in whatever contrived manner the plot incorporates.
And not only that, but it's one thing to do multiverse, but like if you do multiverse good, that's one thing. But when you do it bad, like they've been doing, they have the occasional good ones, like obviously Peter Parker's coming back, Toby and Andrew. I know that was all cheesy. I know the movie was like really rough if you look at the storyline, but I love seeing those guys come back, especially Toby. He was like my hero growing up. There's a level of multiverse that allows you to do like fan service without it feeling like fan service. So I understand Marvel wanting to do that, especially considering how much money Spider-Man No Way Home made. But as far as the rest of the multiverse stuff we've seen throughout the MCU, it's just not good. Like, it's just not good. And that's just, it's unfortunate. But, you know, that's just how I feel about it. I know some people probably do really like it, but besides, you know, Peter Parker's, there's just nothing in the multiverse that really grabbed me. And I think that might be for a big thing of phase 4 and 5. There's only a few movies out of there that I consider good. The rest I would consider just okay, or passable, or bad, right? Like, that's just the way phase 4 and 5 are. Obviously, like I said, there are a few that are really good, but I don't know. There's something about the Infinity War saga. It was like leading up to Infinity War and Endgame, there was this build up. Sure, there were some, you know, chunks in there that don't actually tie into Infinity War, but it was adding some type of element to a character we'll see later. I feel like Doomsday is going to do like a massive, hey, here's a bunch of these multiverse heroes coming together, but we didn't see the build up for a lot of these heroes. So a lot of what it is going to be random cameos of maybe comic book characters, or, you know, random cameos of older X-Men movies, Spider-Man movies. Now, of course, this might not be for Doomsday. This would be for Secret Wars. But when Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman team up with Spider-Man and Wolverine, even if it's for 5 seconds, that's going to make my childhood. Like, I'm going to be so happy because those two were my favorite growing up. Now, like I said, there is fan service done right. Like, if you're going to do fan service, the multiverse is a way to be able to allow you to do fan service without it being bad fan service. So I don't know. I think maybe they're going to use these two big movies as, they want them to be big as Infinity War and Endgame, but they want these mostly to act as a soft reboot into this MCU universe. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to soft reboot it, and from now on, we're going to get movies that are much better. And not just better, but actually kind of have connective tissue to each other. You know, they're more cohesive. They roll out, and the idea of like future stories will have more stakes. Maybe that's just me, but if they wanted to really continue doing this and change it up so it makes money again, I don't really see how they can keep on going on the same track. They got to get on a new train, right? Take a new track, but that might just be me.
Now, on the subject of multiverses, I wanted to discuss a related topic. There's a scene you probably remember in that dreadful film Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where Strange goes before an alternate universe assortment of characters who are the Illuminati. And you have Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo, the Sorcerer Supreme in that universe. Haley Atwell is Captain Carter. Lashana Lynch is Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel. John Krasinski is the Reed Richards of that universe, Fantastic Four Reed Richards. Anson Mount is Black Bolt, and Patrick Stewart returns as Charles Xavier. Now, none of these actors were on screen together during this scene. They were filmed separately, and it was all green screened. Also, I really don't like the fight they have with Wanda, where she just kills them like way too easily. I mean, she dispenses with the men very quickly, and then it becomes this pointless girl boss fight, right? Between herself, Captain Marvel, and Captain Carter. But I'm not here to review that fight or anything. I'm bringing it up because this was one of these scenes that was thrown in there as a cameo fest for the fans. And it sounds like we're
Like
going
I was
to
just
be
talking
getting
about.
more of this kind of thing with Avengers Doomsday. As we know, the film will have a massive cast, including the original X-Men, the current Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, and some of the old Avengers, and the return of a few other old faces. But it's likely going to have a lot of actors brought in, filmed in front of green screens, without other actors in front of them, just maybe stand-ins. And I don't like this kind of filmmaking. And the MCU has done this way too much. And a lot of these cameos are likely going to be nothing more than attempts to excite the fandom by bringing back legacy characters. Just novelty, really. Member berries, nostalgia. I want to look at this article from comicbookmovie.com. It's linked below.
And I just want to state this. I don't think fan service is awful. Like, I don't think it's just deplorable, bad filmmaking. I think if it's done well, it's great. Fan service done well is great. But there is a point where fan service, it can actually be a problem and cause issues for the story. But like I said, in a multiverse scenario, anything can go. So, done right, good. Done bad, really, really bad for your universe and your continuity, and can maybe kill your franchise, as we've seen with the MCU.
It says, I don't know who I was acting with half the time. Alan Cumming opens up on Avengers Doomsday challenges. Like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame before it, Avengers Doomsday is a highly secretive production. With so many actors needed on set, the Russo brothers are likely facing some unique challenges, though that's nothing new to them. With Avengers Infinity War, for example, Benedict Cumberbatch's busy schedule meant he wasn't with his co-stars a lot of the time. A double shot many of his scenes, with Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange later inserted into those. Several other actors in the same sequences never even met, and moviegoers were none the wiser. And I suppose if it works and produces the desired result in the final cut, then what's the big problem, right? Something similar is happening with Avengers Doomsday, and X2 X-Men United star Alan Cumming revealed some of the unique challenges he's faced on set while reprising his role as Nightcrawler. He says, I did this entire film in isolation, lots of green screen, face replacement, and he told Gold Derby they even gave characters fake names. I don't know who I was acting with half the time. While it's true that with a huge cast of actors like these, actor schedules are very difficult to juggle. So green screening and filming actors in isolation and compartmentalizing the shooting process is one method of dealing with this.
Okay, so there's a part of me that does kind of, it does bother me as like a filmmaker myself. Like, it kind of kills the heart of filmmaking, but I also kind of have to respect the fact that they're able to do that. Like, to be able to juggle that many people and really pull the whole story together and still make it feel like it's cohesive, and take like 3 actors who weren't in the room together and make it feel like they were together in the room. Like, that might be the death of traditional cinema. That's really crazy and creative to be able to do that too. So I both like it and I dislike it at the same time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
But this is also part of Disney Marvel's approach to assembling their films, right? And it helps them make huge changes in post-production. It gives them the flexibility to fix stuff, alter entire scenes if they're not working, alter conversations, alter locations, make a lot of contextual modifications to certain situations, and also wholesale modifications to the story. But fans are not exactly thrilled with the sheer amount of green screening. And the other issue is the overuse of green screens has become very evident in the look of recent MCU films.
They've
The
gotten pretty bad.
locations just lack realism. Although this may seem like a great way of opening up new possibilities for the film in the editing stage, it's also one of the things that has contributed to considerable increases in budgets for these films over the years, and also contributed to the declining quality of CG in some instances, because the films are basically designed from the beginning to be heavily reworked in post-production, thus meaning that directors expect to be able to rely on CG artists more to help them perfect and tweak things. If there's issues with the script, or if some things weren't finished in the script, right? They can make changes in post and effectively make considerable story alterations.
Mm-hmm.
They can still be changing the script even in post-production, but
And
this
they
flexibility
do. They
comes at a financial cost. More post-production time means more money, more expense. And the more CG heavy the film becomes, the more the quality can decline. And the CG becomes obvious because the artists are just given way too much work to do, and they have a limited amount of time to do it. And that's really one of the biggest issues when it comes to the quality of CG, which is time. Artists need the time.
Yep.
Otherwise, they're just churning out content as fast as possible, and it's just not going to be as good.
It is going to be interesting, maybe in like the next, maybe I'd say 10 years, but maybe 5 years, the introduction of AI being able to not necessarily replace special effects artists, but be able to assist them. Once we get more special effects artists who are able to understand how AI works, or even AI evolves to a point where you can actually say, okay, do this, do this, do this, then I'll go in and I'll edit certain things so it works better. And so you have like 50% of the work done by a computer right off the bat, and then you could do the other 50% by hand. That would cut back on costs, and that would effectively allow for better CGI because they would have more time to focus on certain things instead of worrying about everything in the shot. That might be wishful thinking, but I think that would really go a long way to not only lowering budgets, but also increasing quality of the CGI to a certain extent. There has to be a level of oversight, obviously. You can't always just focus completely on AI, but to have AI as an assisting tool to an actual artist who knows what they're doing could be pretty good. Like for not only just big companies like Marvel, but just for like companies all over the place, all cinema companies. It could be a really cool push in technology and creative ability that, if done well, could be pretty cool.
So I think to help lower budgets, it would help if more often scripts were actually completed before shooting began. What a wild idea. And as much filming should be done as practically as possible. But anyway, those are just a few of my thoughts at this stage. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
All right, so yeah, that was just a nice short little video here by Dave Collin, but he brings up some really good points. I know it's not the easiest for actors to do, but now that we live in a world where, you know, most things are green screen and AI is becoming more popular, maybe it is time for actors to actually start, you know, going to that direction of, hey, you're gonna be talking to a tennis ball. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's both a good and bad thing because it's bad as a cinema standpoint because you're kind of losing what can make like the magic of a movie. Like think of Jaws. Like imagine if they had like green screen and really good CGI back then. Jaws would just not be as good of a movie. They really had to scrap together and come together as a team to make that movie one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, masterpiece film ever made. But on the other side, to get all that different stuff put together but not actually have it all together, right? Like to have like, you know, a actor scheduled this day and this day and this day, you got to fly out and you got to film their shots over here, and I got to film this guy's shots over here, film this guy's shots over here, then take them all together, splice them together, put the right CGI in. that's also in a way art as well. Like to be able to do that is complicated, and not everyone's going to be able to do that. So, and that's one of those things that a computer can't do that yet. So, you know, I respect it from that standpoint, but when it comes to traditional cinema, it is kind of disappointing to see that and to hear about it. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure to click the links up here. I have a bunch of videos to go check out what I got. I'll catch you later. Peace.